All right, team, welcome back to TNT Digital Mindset. Today, I'm really excited to dive into some cutting-edge stuff. I've been poring over the latest research on digital trends, and honestly, it's fascinating. I've even leveraged some advanced AI, yeah, you heard that right, to break down the core insights. This way, we can get straight to the actionable strategy. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Welcome back to TNT Digital Mindset. We've analyzed the latest data on AI to help you sharpen your strategic thinking. All right, let's just jump right in. Okay, so let's just start right here. This quote from NVIDIA's CEO, it perfectly frames what we're talking about today. See, AI isn't just, software floating around in the cloud anymore. No way. It is literally colliding with the physical world. And that collision, well, it's kicking off the biggest infrastructure project humanity has ever seen. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We're looking at this collision from 5 different angles, 5 critical fronts. We've got the battle for who controls access, the crazy rise of physical AI robots, a fundamental rewiring of the AI brain itself, the, let's call it brutal economics behind it all, and then, the most important part, what this all means for your next strategic move. All right, let's kick things off with battleground number 1, the race to control how we actually talk to AI. Because, right now, the whole App Store model, it's a massive, massive strategic weak point for the companies building these incredibly powerful models. Just look at the difference here. It's really stark. On one side, you've got this graveyard of failed AI gadgets. Remember the Humane Pin? The Rabbit R1? Total flops. But then you look at what OpenAI is doing, and you realize they're not building just another gadget. This is a strategic weapon. It's designed to solve their single biggest, most terrifying problem, access. And every single piece of this move just screams strategy. I mean, teaming up with Johnny Ive, the Apple legend, for design, getting Foxconn, the people who make the iPhone, to build it, this has nothing to do with making a quick buck on hardware sales. No. This is all about building a premium device that creates a direct pipeline to you, the user, a pipeline that completely sidesteps the gatekeepers, the Siris and Google Assistants of the world that could literally shut them down overnight. And hey, don't just take our word for it. This right here, this is OpenAI's own head of ChatGPT, admitting an open cord, the one thing that keeps them up at night. This is the core fear that's driving this entire hardware strategy. They know, deep down, that if you don't own the operating system, if you don't own the browser, you are completely 100% at the mercy of your biggest rivals. So why does this matter so much? Well, the stakes are just astronomical. We're talking about a potential valuation of $850 billion. Now, when that much money is on the table, suddenly spending a few billion to build your own private road to your customers to make sure you don't just fade into irrelevance, well, that starts to look like a really, really smart bet. Okay, so now let's see how this all connects, because AI is literally breaking out of the screen. This is a huge moment, something we've been tracking here at TNT Digital Mindset for a while now. This is where AI stops just generating pixels on a screen and starts generating actual physical force in the real world. And that's it. That's the fundamental shift right there. For years, AI was all about processing information, right? Text, images, code, digital stuff. But now, it's about physical action. That intelligence has been hooked up to motors, to actuators, and it's starting to learn how to move around and interact with our world. The recent Consumer Electronics Show, CES, it was basically ground zero for this explosion. We saw this entire wave of humanoid robots. And what's really fascinating to me is how fast they're already specializing. You've got home assistants, you've got healthcare aides, and these general-purpose robots, all of them learning to navigate spaces that were built for humans. But, and this is a big but, not all of these robots are being designed to, fold your laundry. This specialization is also pushing into some much more controversial areas. It's blurring that line between a helper and an enforcer. And the T800 robot, yeah, that's the most jarring example of this trend we've seen yet. I mean, this isn't science fiction anymore, folks. The T800 has actually been seen out on patrol with police units. In a public demo, it literally applied physical force to its own CEO. This is not a research project in a lab somewhere. This is a system being marketed as capable of physical intervention. And that fundamentally changes the entire conversation about AI's role in our society. Okay, so to handle all this new physical reality, you can't just use the old software. So now, let's pop the hood. Let's look at how the very architecture of AI is being rebuilt from the ground up to smash past the limits of today's models. So for about the last decade, AI models have all been built on this clever little trick. It's called residual connections. And you can think of it like an information highway that let us build these absolutely massive AIs. It kind of rescued the whole field. But this highway had a big problem. It was basically a single-lane road, and that created a really nasty information bottleneck. So naturally, researchers tried to add more lanes to this highway, but every time they did, the models would just become unstable and crash. Total collapse. But then, a lab called DeepSeek had this incredible breakthrough. They figured out a way to build a 4-lane superhighway for information inside the AI. And the genius part is they used some really clever math to mathematically guarantee it would be completely stable. And look, this isn't just some theory on a whiteboard. On a really important math and reasoning test, this new architecture delivered a massive 7-point jump in performance. That is a huge, measurable leap forward. It just goes to show you that how you wire the AI's brain is just as important, if not more important, than just how big it is. So, we've got new hardware, new robots, brand new architectures, but all of it slams headfirst into one single harsh reality. This revolution is unbelievably, mind-bogglingly expensive, and the bill is coming due. So who pays for all this? That's the billion-dollar question, right? It's the one economic problem that's forcing these huge strategic shifts, like OpenAI's sudden, and let's be honest, probably reluctant, move into the advertising business. Because even with millions of people paying for ChatGPT, the math, it just doesn't work. Just look at this number. -$9 billion. That's OpenAI's estimated financial burn rate in just a single year. That is completely and utterly unsustainable. And it explains everything you need to know about the immense pressure they're under to find new ways to make money and find them fast. And you know, these costs are just going up and up because the biggest things holding AI back right now, they're not digital anymore. They're not about chips or algorithms. Our analysis here at TNT Digital Mindset shows the new bottlenecks are hard physical constraints. We're talking about electricity to power these things, the actual land to build the data centers, the political permits to get them approved, and the massive, massive amounts of water needed for cooling. Yep, reality is biting back hard. Okay, so let's bring it all home. What does this great collision between digital intelligence and our messy physical reality actually mean for your strategy? All right, here are the key things you need to walk away with. Number 1, the interface is the new competitive moat. Owning the access point to the user is absolutely critical. 2, physical AI is here and it's accelerating. This is no longer a software-only game. You have to think about robots, data centers, power grids. 3, the economics are absolutely ruthless. Physical and financial limits will decide who wins and who loses. And finally, number 4, adaptability is your best weapon. A smarter architecture, a more efficient model, that can beat raw brute force scale. And that really leaves us with the one critical question you have to be asking yourself right now. As this collision gets faster and more intense, is your business, is your career, is your strategy actually built to withstand that impact? Or is it going to get swept away? If you want to master the digital economy, make sure to subscribe to TNT Digital Mindset. Thanks for listening.